The next section we're going to look at involves problem solving in dynamics. So we're going to start with kind of a general problem solving technique, and then in future videos we'll do some specific problem types that require a few little some tips and tricks that you can use on specific problem types. Let me say it that way. So to start with, anytime you're doing problem solving in dynamics, you're going to do kind of a similar process we've already done. What you're going to see though is that instead of the forces adding up to 0 as they did in the chapter on equilibrium, they'll add up to a non-zero value, and you'll use that value then in F equals ma to either solve for the acceleration, or they may give you the acceleration and ask you something else. But you'll use F equals ma as a bridge then to solve a problem that has to do with an unbalanced net force. So in general, here's the kind of thing that you do. You always make yourself a little sketch and identify knowns and unknowns. So this doesn't have to be an art drawing or anything like that, but if it's a ramp, you want to sketch yourself a ramp or something so you can have an idea of what you're looking at. So always do your knowns and unknowns. You will always need to do a force diagram and label all of your forces. Number 3, you get to decide on the coordinate system on your diagram. Sometimes we have special cases like ramps, like we did in the last chapter, where we made the ramp the x-axis. We'll continue doing things like that in this chapter. You'll write the equation for the net force, and then in this case you're going to set them equal to ma. Before, when there was no acceleration, then m times a would be 0. So here we'll have a non-zero net force that equals ma. So then we'll solve for any of the unknowns you have in the problem. So that's just in general, that's what you'll do, and I think you'll see that process play out in the example I'm going to do for you here. So here we've got a man going on a parachute, and he's accelerating downward. So he's falling, but he's also speeding up is what's happening here. So I broke this down into several parts for you, and this kind of follows the way that your homework will ask you these questions. As we practice these problems more, they'll maybe start with the last part of the question I'm asking you here. So I'll ask you the bottom line. By doing a multiple part problem, what I'm trying to do is walk you through how you would approach that problem. So when you get to a problem that just asks you maybe the last part here, you'll see how you walk through it to get to that part. So the first thing here, draw a force diagram and a motion map. Oh no, motion map, we haven't done those for a while, but they do revisit just a little bit here. So here we've got the dot representing our object, which in this case is the man. We've got gravity, always, always, and then we've got the force of tension. Notice I made the force of gravity larger, and that's because his acceleration is downward. When it is convenient, I sketch the acceleration as kind of a down arrow like this, or an up arrow if that were the direction of acceleration. I only do that on simple problems. If you have a problem, for instance, in the last chapter where you had a man dragging a block with a piece of string or something, and there were a whole bunch of forces on it, then it's not convenient to draw acceleration on there. So a simple problem you don't necessarily have to. You do have to draw the force diagram, however. So the second thing it asked was to draw the motion map. So the motion map, he's obviously falling. He's going to be speeding up as he goes. So my velocity arrows should be getting bigger. Remember, the dots represent position, the arrows are velocity. The last thing we did with motion maps was to learn how to draw acceleration with them. So we'll do that here as well. So the acceleration is constant and it's down. So for each velocity arrow, I'll have an acceleration arrow that is exactly the same size. Notice on here that in the problem, they did not actually tell me that the acceleration was negative. I put that on my drawing as negative because I'm saying that with my coordinate system is going to have down as negative and up as positive. So that's why I added the negative sign in there. Second thing they asked me is, what's the net force acting on the man? So I'm going to write the equation for the sum of the forces as I did before, but in this case it's going to be equal to mass times acceleration. So here's a useful problem solving tip on these kind of problems. It depends on what they give you in the problem, whether you're going to use the ft plus fg portion of it or the ma portion of it. In this case, they're asking for the net force. We know the mass, we know the acceleration, we do not yet know the tension, and we could find the Fg, but we haven't done that yet either. So in this case, I'm going to use the F equals ma portion. and not use the component portion of it. But on other problems, actually further in this problem, we'll use the component portion as well. So just to find the net force, I use F equals ma. The mass was given, the acceleration was given, and so the net force is 225 newtons. So I made that negative, again because the net force is down. So the next part, what is the force of the parachute acting on the man? So what force are they looking for there? That would be the tension. So the strings of the parachute are pulling upward on the man. So now we are forced to use the component portion of the equation. So we're going to use the Ft plus Fg portion, which is equal to the net force, and we already found the net force. If you wanted to, you could have set this up. If you weren't given part B and were just given part C as a question, you could have just done ma equals Ft plus Fg and not solve separately for the net force. But since we already know what it is, it makes sense to use the negative 225 as it is. So I put the numbers in my equation. I found the weight of the man, and that is just his mass of 75 kilograms times 9.8, negative because it's down. This is where the signs really do matter. The net force is down, so it's negative. The force of gravity, which is his weight, is also down, so it is negative. So you see how if you mess up one of those signs, that would change the value of the tension force. So that's really important where the signs do matter. I'm never picking on signs on the final answer, but if you mess up a sign within a problem, that's where you're in trouble. So then I go ahead and add over that 735, and I find the tension force of 510. It should make sense that the tension force is less than the weight of the man, the weight being the Fg, because his acceleration is downward. So the net force and the acceleration are always in the same direction, and whichever direction you have the net force on, that direction is going to have a larger force. So whichever force is larger is going to be the direction of the net force and the acceleration. Okay, next one, this is kind of a silly question. I just wanted a way to change the signs, really. So let's say there was a strong updraft that causes the man to accelerate upward at 1 meter per second squared. By the way, does he necessarily have to be moving upward to be accelerating upward? Actually, no, because he's falling down. The acceleration is the rate of change of velocity. So this is only means his velocity would be decreasing, not necessarily that he's moving up, because that would be kind of strange. Could happen, I suppose. So let's find the net force on him with a different acceleration. So we put that in there. One thing to notice, I changed the units on the acceleration, so instead of meters per second squared, I use newtons per kilogram. They are equivalent, so you can use either set of units. The only reason I did newtons per kilogram is because you can see here when I take a kilogram times a newton per kilogram, I get a newton. So that's a nice simplification. It's easy to see how the units work out when you use newtons per kilogram involving a force problem. So there's my part of that question. But the last part then is, what is the new value of Ft? And this is where the signs will come into play. So we use the same equation we did before. Now our net force is positive instead of negative. So we've got positive 75 newtons because it's up, and then you've got negative 735 newtons on the weight because the weight is down. So now my tension force is going to be greater, which should make sense. Think if you're in a parachute and you're falling, so you have tension in that string with the parachute, but then there's an updraft. If the wind were blowing that parachute in the opposite direction, it would feel tighter, right? So you should feel more tension if you were in a situation like that. So that's the difference with signs. Wanted to make sure I showed you that. And that's really the only kind of problems you're going to be doing on this first worksheet. So take a look at that and see how it goes. Hopefully all will be well, and we'll talk about how it goes in class.